Welcome along. Today I'm going to be flying from Bangkok to London on Eva Air in business class on a 777, and I'm inviting you along for a ride. Coming up, those reverse herringbone seats in their evergreen colour scheme. Is it a disco or a karaoke bar? Check out one of the wackiest lounges at Bangkok. I'll taste Eva's a la carte catering from soup to nuts and all the diced beef in between. I dive headfirst into the lurid olive green cocktails, and then yet more evergreen cocktails, and find out just why Eva Air pyjamas have got a cult following. All that and more as I prepare to leave Bangkok on a Boeing 777-300 series ER on Eva Air. Not a typical choice to fly from Thailand to Heathrow. Well, I've finally made it to Bangkok. I'm about to take the Eva Air 777 to London Heathrow, but that's after I go to the Eva Air Lounge and experience the disco lights they've got in the lounge. It's just over there, so do come with me. Eva Air are the second largest airline in Taiwan, and when it started flying back in the 1990s from Taipei to London, it had to include a refueling stop in Thailand, and those flights remain as a rare fifth freedom flight. Hence why Eva have got their own lounge at Bangkok, and it's some lounge. The funky style of the Eva Air Lounge is a world away from the staid lounges of Singapore or Thai. The lounge is famous, infamous even, for its disco light show of an intergalactic style. There are even illuminated plastic jellyfish dancing to the music, just what every airline lounge needs. Once inside, you'll see that the airline makes extensive use of mood lighting and colour effects to produce what the airline calls an engaging ambience or blinding light show like a Star Wars mothership, depending on your aesthetic bent. Some of the lounge's decor is also illuminated and changes colour, such as the small objets d'art that are strewn around, while other lighting schemes provide the appearance of a tunnel within a rather narrow wall, taking you down the seventh circle of hell. Like any good nightclub, airline lounge, there's a bar. Just a shame it's not very good. You have a bottle of white, bottle of red and a few spirits and DIY cocktails. At least you can mix up something quite clubby in here, but the food, however, shows an excellence in Thai nightclub cuisine with pizzas, pies or sausages on a stick. If you want to sample the very best of Bangkok, there's dim sum in a basket or hot noodles. There are a couple of tureens of bowls of fried rice, best consigned to the space bin, or a really excellent special mushroom soup. Tarts come in shades of evergreen, while sandwiches come in shades of cling film. Best off with a post-club trippy experience with a hot meat pie, and if you want a classy beer, there's Heineken. Causing a disturbance in the fourth, the white is a Chateau de Manhunt, all served up in a whiskey tumbler, which wouldn't be out of place in a 1990s Colchester nightclub. Such a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. It is available for you now for just one night in Bangkok, where you can take it to the Coco Chanel of intergalactic style. Yes, the karaoke lounge with jellyfish. Once you have a look around, you'll be struck by just how fascinating this night's airline lounge is, causing a disturbance in the force. It gets better. In the neon-lit bathrooms, you can see straight out to the aircraft. Talk about a loo with a view. Although most clubbers would prefer one you couldn't see into. But just for the disco lights and the amazing bathrooms, it's a lounge like no other, which has no rivals. On this planet, or the next. Indeed, amazing doesn't seem to cover that lounge, and I was forced to resort to astonishment. Walking, maybe even reeling with the reflexes of a drunk kitten, I went in search of the wine of Singapore. And here we are at the height of sophistication, the Singapore Airlines Bangkok Lounge. With the atmosphere of a refined boutique hotel, it's about as far from the land of Taiwan as it's possible to get. It's the third incarnation over the past decade and by far the best of this flavour of lounge. Light, bright and modern, there are a lot of comfortable seats, and dominating the centre of the lounge is a huge cocktail bar. That's what we like to see. There's good buffet dining, and it's the food and bar that draw most passengers here. The food is amazing with great curries and Singaporean specialities. The staff bar also makes amazing cocktails. Now forget the lukewarm bottle of Van der Table next door. There are 6 bottles of top-notch reds and the same of whites. Cocktails mixed on demand and classy European beers. You could spend all day in here, and many do. There's also the famous dining room table with seating for 12 dominating the back of the lounge, and it even has an automated beer pouring machine. Champagne's available at the bar and readily poured. Quite new, modern, and yet with a home-from-home feel. It's a real shame to leave. But next I need to canter to the Thai Airways Lounge, as I've only got 2 more hours before going back to Eva and my flight on the disco party bus to Heathrow. Good, they're loading up the wine cellar ready for me. Now you see, the advantage of Star Alliance is that you can hop between lounges, and Star Alliance Gold gets you into all the Star Lounges. And for lounge hopping, both for Star Alliance and indeed of your alliance of choice, Bangkok is the place to do it. I really wish I'd got time for the nervous breakdown I so deserve and nip around the independent lounges, but that'll have to wait until next week when I'm in Bangkok. Again. But right now I'm in the huge new Bangkok Thai Airways business class lounge at Concourse D. It's a main central business class lounge now that Thai have shut down their 4 other lounges at the airport. It's large, and indeed my mind was boggling on all 4 cylinders already, but get this, it's half a mile long with room for 500 people, and that's just in the newly opened annex. It's one of the longest business class lounges on the planet, where you can escape the dratted, ravishing hordes who peer through the windows begging for cake. There are 2 vast refectory areas, and it's one of the few places in Thailand where you can eat the salad and live without Bangkok belly. Other than the vast queues here, all picking over the same bones, you can have your cake and slay it too, along with lots of cling film sandwiches and chicken sausages, all washed down with lashings of Thousand Island dressing. However, if ever there was a lounge of 2 halves, this is it. But you can, if you've lost your mind, go through to the old lounge, which was built 20 years ago and hasn't changed a jot since the lounge was first built. It's a bit manky, innit? The old lounge has a motorway service station vibe, whereas the new lounge is much more up a 3-star hotel. But it does have a cocktail bar, and that's what we're here for, where there's a broad range of delirium to choose from. But right now, I'll just take up my designated alcohol research sofa after having walked so far in my 3 lounge problem. Yeah, trying to find the best bubbles.
That is good. Well, that pretty much completes the lounge crawl this morning. We've done the Eva Air Lounge, Turkish Air Lounge, Singapore Airlines Lounge, and I'm here in the Thai Lounge, the Royal Silk Lounge, no less. Just about to board my Eva Air flight to London Heathrow, but not before a couple more of these.
It is indeed a lounge index staple after all. And in this green enclave, it's hard to fathom this is an airport, but I do need to navigate my way out of here and get on the next sector of my mammoth flight. Now, for those who've described my style of flying as bizarrely unhinged, you might be right. We're only just getting started. After all, I've been to 4 lounges and 1 long-haul flight before getting to Bangkok in the early hours of this morning. After all, who does that just to nip around a few lounges and a nightclub just to sample the cocktails on the party bus? Well, it's a tough job, somebody has to do it, and I'm absolutely determined that somebody has to be me. Today I'll show you exactly what it's like as we head from Bangkok's Suvarnabhumi Airport all the way to London Heathrow. Hurrah! The new Bangkok airport isn't so new any longer. It was opened in 2006 in Nong Nagu Hai, which means Cobra Swamp, and was built on the Arch Truss Girder principle. Then 6,000 miles or 9,500 kilometres in new money all the way to Heathrow Terminal 2, which means Wetherspoons and a tube ride home. It's far more modern, opening in 2014 and built on the toast rack principle, although dates back to 1955 as the old Europa building. Right, there we go. Time to wade through the backpackers, which I did in the years before Alex Garland told all English students to do it between the milk round and discovering mortgages and lawnmowers. It's character building, hedonistic, and you can get away to that very lonely planet called the Kozan Road, where you can meet everybody you knew on the sixth form UCAS round after A-levels. If you need to know what that is, ask your parents. I've got to find where I left my aircraft, and there it is, tied up at the schnozzle, ready to canter, no waiting to board in business class, and there we have it, the famous evergreen business class cabin of Eva Air. Eva Air has got reverse herringbone seats in business class, very comfortable but not cutting edge. They don't have the bells and whistles of some of the modern seats out there, but nevertheless, they've got a unique colour scheme. They're actually the saffron citrus reverse herringbone seats, originally designed by Orson Associates in 2010 and made famous by being flown by Cathay Pacific. On Eva Air you get them for a fraction of the price and in a more lurid colour than might possibly be imagined. I took a walk through premium economy to check out what Eva were offering. It's pretty standard with a 38-inch pitch and 19-inch width, but with a 242 layout. Absolutely the same as every other carrier. There's an 11-inch touchscreen, USB plugs, and best of all, a little cocktail tray beside your seat. Even further back into economy, if you really like that kind of thing, there's a 343 layout, 31 inches of pitch, and they even have TV screens this far back in the bus. Right, that's enough of that, because the Eva Air crew really didn't like me poking around the back of the bus and filming, and herded me towards the front of the plane where I belong. And indeed, waiting for me was a welcome glass of champagne and even a welcome chocolate, just in case the stagger up the jet bridge was just too much. Other goodies up here include the famous Eva Air slippers, which are really very nice indeed. It's time to kick off the Tims, and the wackiness extends to the amenity kit. Not something you would normally think of as being unusual, but Eva Air is introducing new Salvador Ferramago amenity kits for all Royal Laurel class, that's business class customers. It comes in a new hard case looking like, well, basically your luggage roll aboard. There's Fermago's best-selling Bianco di Cara fragrance with body lotion, lip balm and hand cream. It has the usual toothpaste, eye mask and earplugs as you'd expect. And also, check this out. Eva Air is partnering with prominent fashion designer Jason Wu. Yes, he's famous in the very small Taiwan suburb of Yulin. The second generation Jason Wu pajamas were launched just this year on Eva Air. They're designed to be comfortable and easy to wear. It's both sleepwear with a soft cozy fabric, but at the same point is designed to be very fashionable if you wear it around Taipei. Now Jason Wu, of course, like many Taiwanese, he's actually Canadian and he lives in New York. But this fashion wear is recognizable around the world by you saying, I flew on Eva Air. Now, business class passengers also get upgraded audio, a set of Eva branded noise cancelling headphones called Thunder. Eva make a lot of these. The airline claims 18 months of research went into them, and they're actually pretty good. I'd love to know who the manufacturer, as I refuse to believe that Eva Air has turned from an airline into manufacturing headphones. The high-definition TV monitor is also pretty decent, even if the interface is about a decade old or so. It's exactly the same monitor that passengers often complain about on Cathay, American and other airlines using this seat. It folds into the wall on takeoff and landing, so you can't watch it during the taxi. The in-flight safety video features many famous film stars of Taiwan, and then finally time for pushback, and so begins our next leg onto Heathrow. Hurrah! Incidentally, Eva Air's got a very thick pillow and the most substantial duvet you'll find on any airline, along with a mattress pad. Now, Eva Air, instead of upgrading the cabin, they obviously like the shades of green so much, they instead upgraded the engines on the aircraft. And there you go, you can hear the Trent XWB-97 engines spooling up. And that's Bangkok's Suvarnabhumi Airport disappearing down below, and it gives me a chance to look around the cabin. Quaintly, there seem to be some very nice pictures of Taiwan on the walls. I can now pop up the armrest and indeed pop out the TV screen from the wall and see exactly where we're going. We're taking off to the east and then a tight banking climbing turn with 15 degrees of bank before we go west in the open air where the skies are blue and where we'll fly so high as we swing to 270 degrees west to overfly coming. I was thunderstruck by the cans, so good I could hear the sound of the drums beating in my heart as I plug in AC/DC to power my phone and hear the great audio in the cables, and even if there isn't all that much to, watch. It does seem as if the films are rather dated and the TV box sets have just got a few random episodes of US TV series that hit the rocky shore, sank, and under 10 fathoms right now. At least the views are great. Daytime flight as we gain height over the Thai capital, full of tourists of course. Tourists going on holidays while travellers actually do something else. They travelled and sampled the wine list at 38,000 feet. You can tell I'm getting a bit philosophical by now. That's the Chao Phraya River down there. The name simply means River of Kings. And just a short walk up from the Khao San Road, we've got Hua Lamphong, or the main Bangkok train station, built in an Italian-esque neo-Renaissance style, I'll have you know. Indeed, the first I heard of the beaches of Koh Tao were in Bangkok and on the Khao San Road, and as a backpacker I took a train and a ferry all the way to Koh Tao for only 300 baht many years ago. Trust me, that's quite a bargain. So I wish I could go back, but I can't, because right now the crew are coming over and they're looking rather like a K-pop band, but that was clearly impossible since they're from Taiwan and not from K-pop land, and indeed based in Thailand. Anyway, they asked how I was enjoying business class, or rather premium Laurel class as the airline likes to call it. You see, there's also Royal Laurel class on Eva Air, which has got seats with a door like Qatar's Q Suite. That flies on the newer 787s, whereas I was actually on an uprated 777. I do hope you're keeping up. It does have the advantage of Wi-Fi, which is apparently very fast, or so I thought. However, the crew started some real transparent evasion exercises on why it wasn't available. They suggested that if I paid the most expensive package, it might work, but it's pretty pricey. However, there's still quite a lot to do on those 12 hours to Heathrow. Indeed, there's dinner. Tablecloths are laid and the K-pop band asked me what I'd like to eat, and it's quite odd because they're asking me about dinner, but firstly, it really is breakfast time, and secondly, there weren't any menus, so I was forced to resort to telepathy to guess the options. The crew explained that I could access the menu if I went online, which of course I couldn't because it didn't work. Eventually the crew found a way to bring up the menu on the TV screens, and they apologised that the only menu option loaded that bore any relation to the online menu was a beef tenderloin. So there was no oven chicken with mushrooms or fried snapper fish with garlic chili for me. It turned into even more of a guessing game with the drink service, and the crew could only suggest an evergreen given with melon liqueur. No, I think I'll probably run aground if I go for that, so instead I just plumped for the gin, which was served with what Eva call the prelude, but most airlines call the amuse-bouche, unless you're on Air France, of course, where it's a mouth amuser, or alternatively on Lufthansa, where it will be the gros œuf de couche. 2 slabs of toast with smoked halibut or chicken massaman flavoured with lime tamarind and coconut milk. It's actually better than it sounds, but rather like those corporate canapes you get when somebody leaves after 40 years flying a desk, they look as if somebody really cares and have gone to a lot of trouble making them, but they're actually pretty bland. Definitely a few sandwiches short of a picnic. Now, the good thing about the awesome Cirrus seat is it does have a pretty large table, even if the crew have got a DIY style of laying the tablecloth. Then onto the appetizer, which to avoid confusion between American and English versions, Eva called the hors d'oeuvre. Lobster medallion with caviar and spicy roe mayonnaise, so hot it felt as if I'd fallen into the pits of the anti-world itself. But actually there was quite a lot of flavour in there. I did ask the crew if there was an alternative to seafood at this point, and got the bemusing reply that everybody's just going to eat fish, so that's pretty much all they serve, which is fine, unless you don't. There's a hard-baked roll, which wouldn't be out of place on British Airways, but at least there's proper olive oil and balsamic vinegar to go with it. However, after realising that the roll could probably sink a duck at 1,000 paces, I asked for some garlic bread instead. Next course is a soup. Drink it quick before it evaporates. It's curried pumpkin soup with a baked carrot in the middle. Yeah, it's also so spicy it'll melt the plastic and turn the green paintwork red. Thank goodness there are only about 3 spoonfuls of soup in there. Any more and I'd need some repair work on my larynx and be able to use it in a car battery. Thank goodness I found their wine list on the IFE too, as I may need something vaguely acidic to take away the acid. Wearing a dazed expression, I plumped for the Gewürztraminer Ginebrecher 2021. This is a full-bodied wine with a rich texture and a hint of sweetness and exotic fruit flavours of lychee and pineapple. It's got a delicate, fresh finish and all of €5 in the Calais Carrefour. We're well over Burma now, that's Rangoon on the left, and we're heading straight for Dakar. For those of you who've been on this channel for, well, 25 years or so ago, you may remember a trip I took on Bangladeshi binman on the DC-10. That was like being inside a giant hairdryer. Well, to commemorate, the crew pour me a delicious glass of the Chateau Chantegrive Cuvée Caroline from Graves in Bordeaux. Actually a pretty classy white with equal parts of Old Vine Semillon and Sauvignon Blanc. You can really taste the terroir in this. And then we get on to the main course, and indeed here, where there is despair, we may bring hope. A garden salad next to cleanse my palate, which was fantastic actually, and with crumbly feta, and then on to the mains. The stir-fry beef tenderloin cubes Shankill style with steamed duo rice was very, very good indeed. Lots of flavour in there, very, very tender. I was impressed. And to go with Aussie beef, you need Aussie wine. I selected the Boxing Day Shiraz and Cabernet Sauvignon from Kangaroo Island. On the nose, it offers notes of gum and eucalyptus, a classic Aussie blend, and a pricey drop too of $50 down Murphy. Just passing Cox's Bazaar on the right. Named after a British East Indian Company captain, he rehabilitated many refugees in the area, but died mid-work of the plague, so to commemorate him, the locals named a market after him. And if you can cope with any more local history, you'll probably need wine. Yes, there's Crozes Hermitage Paul Gillette. This is a full-bodied, immensely inky red featuring blackberry and cassis flavours from the Hill of the Hermitage in the northern Rhone Valley with a distinctly mineral terroir. And to go with it, cheese. There's Camembert, cheddar, blue cheese and Gruyere. Sadly, the K-pop crew couldn't tell me much more about the cheeses, and to go with them there's just a tiny packet plastic of biscuits, and strawberries as well, of course. But the cheese was really good, but looming over it is half a yellow ball as we fly south of Calcutta, which is actually lemon mousse cake. The yellow ball, that is, not the city. And this was superb, light and delicate with lots of fruitiness, just how I like my wine. Right, time for a quick waz and check out the bathrooms before we start a heavy morning's drinking. It is, after all, now 9 AM in London. The loos were alright, I suppose. Nice orchid in there and some green bottles. Of course they're green. It's Eva Air, what do you expect? We're going ever west, and I thought I'd have another go at trying to connect to the interweb, which almost started to work. I paid my $40, and then the crew told me that the web was always switched off when we fly over India. Just because. And it still didn't work. Little else to do other than work my way through the cocktail list. I started off with an evergreen special. This has melon liqueur and vodka with lime juice. It's really yummy and it goes down as smoothly as a ship down a ship canal, and that's a very smooth thing. So good I had to have another and admire the Star Wars mothership theme, continuing with an illuminated star map on the roof of the Boeing.
Well, we've made it here. I am on Eva Air 777-300 extended range version, one of the rarest birds in the sky, and they've got the Eva Air Evergreen cocktail. It's got a bit of fruit salad in there as well. Not bad at all. So actually, despite my reservations about booking Eva Air, it does seem to be coming out quite well. We're halfway through the flight at the moment. We'll see how it goes for the rest of the flight.
Going past Bombay now and heading for Pakistan, and that means it's time for an Aurora. This is a gin and green mint liqueur. It uses large parts of Briotette's green peppermint liqueur, and it's punchy stuff. It's produced by distilling mint leaves, mainly peppermint leaves, and then adding some very fine sugar. And indeed it does go on to prove that the plane's party piece really is the bar, where all of the drinks are luminescent. And I suppose time really does fly when you're having fun. We're moving pretty quickly now into the drinks list, and I'd already tried the Duval Leroy champers, and so I thought it was time to sample the Laurent Perrier bubbles to ensure it was of the very finest of quality. It's half Chardonnay and half Pinot Noir, a beautiful gold colour with a wonderful lingering on the tongue flavour and wonderfully rich, and 50 quid a bottle down Waitrose if you need to check it out. Talking of check it out, I thought I'd see how they were travelling in the cheap seats at the back. And actually it seems pretty well because the plane is very empty. I sampled a beer from Punishment Class, and back there they've got gold medal Taiwan beer, a top seller with a tasty sting in its tail. The gold medal brew was first produced in 2003 and it's now become Taiwan's top-selling style. It's got a higher malt content than the classic and a much smoother taste, and it uses a larger proportion of rice and aromatic hops to give it a very clean aroma. The crew thought I could do with a snack to go with it as well. These aren't on the menu, but you can ask for leftover meals from Premium Economy. They got some veggie pasta left and whoa, it was really good. Clearly I need to try and get myself downgraded next time. It comes with another rock hard roll, and then again there's bread, and there's whatever that was. And back in the cheap seats they offer you yogurts as well. Full enough for this life, but not the next, as I'll never make the good place the way I'm going. I asked the crew for some more unusual Taiwanese specialities, and they asked if I'd like to see their liqueurs. Ooh, yes please. So next up, the logical choice, plum liqueur with Choya Extra Years a fine drop. It's revered throughout Japan for its balance of sweetness, acidity, exotic smooth taste and elegant aroma that complement those moments when you're at 35,000 feet and still have 5 hours of the flight to go. It won gold at the San Francisco World Spirits Competition, not least for its ability to peel the enamel off your teeth. I kicked back with a film for a couple of hours or so, and then heading over Istanbul and then Belgrade, Eva decided it was time for more food. The main meal service is a green salad with cheese balls. Yum. Indeed, as we head over the Bosphorus, the crew came up to me genuflecting with apologies. Apparently Eva do load a printed menu on each flight, but because no one ever asks for them, they didn't even know that they were there. It would be brilliant if they actually used them. Unfortunately, the menus they handed out were 3 months old and didn't bear any relation to the meals served on board. Now, under certain circumstances, there are few hours in life more agreeable than the hour dedicated to the ceremony known as afternoon tea as you head into the cruise, heading for Blighty. And with that in mind, I asked the crew if they'd got any more catering on board. They clearly regarded me as a few sandwiches short of a picnic, but did actually offer up a cheese quiche with green salad and honey mustard dressing. It's refreshingly adequate. Everybody was looking a bit tired by this point, so even though there are only a couple of hours to go, the crew turned on the nighttime lighting in the cabin and shut all the blinds. But I still had more cocktails to go and decided to head for a stroll in Milan, which would set me up for landing. With brandy, Cointreau, cranberry and carrot juice. Yeah, of course, as you do.
So, halfway through the flight, and it's not bad at all. I managed to get about 6 hours sleep, which is a bit of a miracle on some of these long-haul flights. I'm going to say the seat is amazingly comfortable when it's in bed mode. The amenities are fantastic. Menu is a little bit limited, and the in-flight entertainment could be regarded as perhaps a little bit old and antiquated in places, but at least the cocktails keep them coming.
Over the channel now, and once more we've reached the safe shores of Albion, managed by controllers at Swanwick, handling over 1.8 million flights and 200 million passengers a year. So that calls for another cocktail just before landing. This is a Passion Island with rum, Cointreau and pineapple juice. Seatbelts on now, just as we go for a gradual descent through the clouds over the Thames estuary and into the London Flight Information region. We're avoiding Essex as we aim for the centre of London, just as many work in the square mile, try and avoid thinking about ethics at all costs. Pun intended. Cambridge dead ahead, and an odd feature of Eva Air is that they show a video before landing on safety features and how to go through an airport. Still, a lovely sunny evening in London as we head out west and then approach Heathrow over Windsor. That's the Thames estuary down there, and hopefully you can also make out the fine outline of the M25. crew once again came up to me and once again were genuflecting, apologising and said they had to collect their headphones. Now, many airlines used to do this 20 years ago, but it's odd to find one that's still doing it before landing. But in return, they offered a final, last cocktail in the 20 minutes before landing. They'd obviously got to know me quite well. They offered a sundowner with orange, Sprite and, of course, a treble vodka. Incidentally, if you've been following my random flights around the globe for the past 20 years or so, I hope that not only you don't take me too seriously, because I certainly don't, and note that I don't warn the airline I'm coming and I pay my own way, travelling strictly incognito. If you've been indulging in the drinking game, I know many of you lot indulge in for these flights, now would be a good time to wring your liver out and hang it on the line to dry. So what did I make of Eva Air? Well, for a low-cost-ish airline, Eva offers a great seat, even if it's no longer the best in class, and that green takes some getting used to. But they shovel food at you like no tomorrow, nearly as much as they pile in with cocktails to try and make the experience somewhat more pleasurable. Coming in now from the west, approaching Heathrow, over Dorney Lake, a purpose-built rowing lake built by Eton College and used in the 2012 Summer Olympics. There's Windsor Racecourse, located on the banks of the River Thames. It occupies a large island between the main channel of the river and the Clwyd Mill Stream backwater. And there's Windsor itself, a fantastic historic town dominated by Windsor Castle, initially built in the 11th century by William the Conqueror. And there you can see from left to right the Lower Ward and St George's Chapel, the Middle Ward and Round Tower, and the Upper Ward with the East Terrace Garden and the Long Walk. Although goodness knows why they built such a large castle so close to a major airport. Now, incidentally, have you spotted all the references to Evergreen on Eva Air? That's because Eva Air was founded in 1989 as an affiliate of the shipping company conglomerate Evergreen Group. Yes, the same shipping company that can't sail through a canal without getting wedged. Now, it's curious that a shipping company runs an airline, but many do. After all, look at Eddie Stobart Air, for example, which sadly no longer exists. But Eva Air is mainly a cargo airline which offers value to the Evergreen Group with excellent synergies linking to the company's marine shipping business. Indeed, the airline was originally to be called Evergreen Airways, but changed to Eva to avoid confusing passengers who thought they might be on a cargo airline. But cargo is a huge part of the business still, and you get the impression that passengers are just a sort of extra side hustle. So there we go, that is Eva Air. Now this was one of those rare Fifth Freedom flights. These are international routes that neither start nor end in the operating airline's home country. They typically operate as tag flights, but in this case operate simply because Eva originally needed to take on more fuel at Bangkok to get to London. It also has the advantage that if you pay in Thai baht, you'll get the seat for way less than if you'd started in Taiwan. Seriously, we're talking about the sheer luxury of business class, but what am I saying? This is Eva Air. You get a nice seat and loads of food. But you pay far less. You're paying almost bucket and spade economy ticket prices than you would do if you, say, bought the ticket in either Heathrow or Taiwan. The flight time is also brilliant, allowing lunch in Bangkok and dinner in London. And that's exactly where I'm heading now, getting quickly onto the Elizabeth line, which takes me to the heart of the capital. Well, there we go. I've made it on Eva Air all the way through to London Heathrow. And you know what? I've been pleasantly surprised. It was nowhere near as bad as I expected. And that's not downing the airline with faint praise. It's actually surprisingly good for a niche carrier. And even better, it's sort of a daytime flight, so I can arrive in the late evening sunshine here in summer in London. Right now, though, I need to get on a train and get out of Heathrow because it's the place I tend to see most in the world. Walking down the Thameside Path to Millennium Bridge with views over that square mile I was looking at from aloft just an hour or so ago. And you know what? Eva Air did a brilliant job getting me here, admittedly in a rather green style.